అమ్ము నువ్వు లైన్ క్రాస్ చేసేసావు. నాకున్న కోపానికి
నాకు నువ్వంటే భయం లేదు.
So, Charukesh, Aishwarya, and Naveen, a warm welcome to all three of you, and congratulations on Ammu, which is streaming on Amazon Prime Video.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much.
Now, first of all, Charukesh, I'm going to begin with you. As I said, this is the first Amazon original film in the Telugu language, and recently we've seen an influx of films like Thappar, The Great Indian Kitchen, and Darlings, in which the woman fights back an abusive husband. So, amidst all of this, where do you feel your film kind of fits in to all of that?
I feel each film is unique because the journey of each woman in those films are unique. I'm glad that so many films are being made about themes that are, that haven't been greatly discussed until recently. And I'm glad that we are having this conversation here while we could be talking about any other film and any other story. We are still talking about this issue. I'm glad that we have the platform to do that. I believe Ammu is a sensitive take on the issue of domestic violence. It is the journey of a woman who has a certain struggle, and she breaks from the shackles of whatever's binding her, and how she wins in the end is the story of Ammu. So yeah, I'm actually glad that that we're talking about this, and I really hope that Ammu does justice to the theme that we're talking about.
Right. Now, Aishwarya, I think firstly, congratulations to you on PS1. It was such a fabulous film, and you've had a brilliant year so far. I mean, you've done some powerful films, and you've even backed powerful films like Gargi as well. So when it comes to a role like this, like Ammu, what references of pain does an actor actually introspect on to bring out those emotions on screen as an actor?
So I am, as an actor, I don't reference anything in myself to bring out. I just go by the script, the lines that are given, the actual words that are used. That's more than enough. And especially in a well-written script, that is more than enough to give you the emotion that the character is going through. That is my method of acting. And I speak to Charu a lot. So I have to say, if I've done anything right in the film, it's because of Charu. We speak a lot. I ask him to walk me through it. So between every take, if I'm not able to get the take right, because I'll be judging myself throughout. So I'll come back and say, Charu, just speak to me, and I'll just listen to what he's saying. And I think it took us just 2 days. By the time we figured out how we are going to work on this character together. And I think that was the most brilliant thing that could have happened, because if at all, we had like 16 days of shoot in the first schedule. So if at all it took more time, then maybe the effect that Ammu can give to the audience would have reduced. But since we figured it out early, the process, even though the story that we are trying to say is very, very difficult to perform and work on, whatever that could be made easier was made easier because we found a good working relationship earlier on.
Right. But, because of the nature of the script and the story, I mean, it is extremely heavy. I mean, I was watching the trailer and it kind of gripped me a lot. It kind of grabbed me by the throat. I mean, for you as artists and as actors, I mean, it must be very hard to, I guess it must be very emotionally quite straining as well for you. So how did you cope with that, especially when you have to switch on and off as an actor from your role?
So I usually don't say, unless it requires me to be in the zone. Like, for example, there's a particular scene in the film where Ammu actually breaks down and actually tells somebody for the first time about what she's undergoing. That scene required me to be in a zone for a longer period of time. Otherwise, I'm usually able to, like, I understand, I empathize, I switch on, I switch off. That is how I function. I somehow have gotten that technique. That's the only thing that has worked for me till now. But for Ammu, this was shot in 16 days, and those 16 days was going through her pain. It did affect me. It did affect my behavior towards people as well, because I was undergoing this pain. At least, even though I was switching off in between, I had to undergo continuously for like 16 days. Yeah, it drains, and also I think my coping mechanism is I'm like Chandler. I make jokes. I try to make, like, not the scene, but post
Right.
that I'll try to make it light for everybody around, because it's not just me who's working on set. Everybody who is involved with this film was undergoing that stress, and to add to that, we were shooting during the pandemic, so there was a lot of regulation. So we were shooting in very what do I say? So much constraints were there while we were shooting. And I'm
Oh.
guessing more of that I had to undergo the pain, and this man right here, he had to be a monster that he wasn't in real life. So that was even more difficult.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned this actually, because I want to sort of segue now into you, Naveen, actually, because obviously you've had your fair share of playing villains before. But when you are playing an abusive husband, which is perhaps the grisliest role of them all, did you have a similar process to Aishwarya in that sense? You know, how mechanical was it for you? Or did you also have to revisit a dark place in your life to bring out that monstrosity of the character that you're portraying?
No, the process, I didn't go through any process because Ravi, if you go through a process, I need to do a lot of things before coming on set.
Yeah.
So, no, I got more information about Ravi through Charu sir. It was on phone calls, it was on video calls, and I've been talking to him every 2 days, 3 days, though I was shooting other films. But I used to discuss a lot and take more information of Ravi. And when I came on set, I was blank, totally blank, because I didn't want to do it mechanically, saying that like I have performed well, I've told my lines well, and my reactions are right towards Ravi. I've not thought anything as such. My belief system just believed one voice, that is Charukesh, and his voice, his way of explaining the scene and getting me into Ravi was equally strained. We both were equally strained to get Ravi, and it was not tough. It is not at all tough. And you know this film called Venom, right? If given a
Yes.
chance on sets, I would have take him out and throw him out and say, "Get out of my life." But it took me a lot. It took me a lot to be as a normal human. Once I finished the shoot, once the packup is done, and to know myself, I used to stare mirror a lot and say, "Get out, Ravi, get." It's like I used to talk myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
wow.
I don't know, like for me, I can't like Ravi is like I just can't come and act.
Yes.
Okay, and as Ammu, I don't know how she faced me at that time, but I was worried about her while shooting, because somewhere I used to lose control as Ravi, and when I used to lose control as Ravi, Apurva ji and Charu sir used to ring the bell. Sir, no sir. Sir, this sir. Yeah, sir.
Oh,
So
really?
there was a lot like the physical thing you can control, but when it's here,
Mentally, yeah.
mentally here, and there's a girl in front of me who's Aishwarya as well as Ammu as well. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of confusion, and that control was controlled by the team, and especially my director, because he was the one who guided me well towards Ravi, and he was the one who detoxed me from Ravi.
I think
So I should thank him.
Yeah, I think the intention of all of us was to create a safe space where we can make this film.
Sure.
Make this film be true to the narrative, but also keep all our what do you say, mental peace as the focus. We wouldn't want any of them to be traumatized by what they are doing, and you know, at the end of the day, it's a job, and you'll have to leave it, and you'll have to go back to your own life and all that. So it was important for us to keep that in mind. When he says that we had to rein him in, it was more of I think he comes from a place where you know, it's you just have to know how to play Ravi. It's very easy for Ravi to become somebody who is not relatable. If you play him too eccentrically, you might say this is cinematic, and I don't know anybody like this in
Yeah.
my life and all that. So he had to be very real. So that's the intention.
Right. Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, what a vivid sort of experience that you all have gone through. My God, I don't know how you all do it. Seriously, मैं बस interview करता हूँ, experiences I reflect on, then ask you all. You guys have to have a complete different process. It's absolutely bizarre. But I think Charukesh, continuing what you said about real, and I think a very important question, a bit of a serious question actually, because in India and abroad, there's been an increase of crimes against women, especially here in the UK. There's been so many cases of murders happening against women. It's been very ghastly. And I think despite dialogues that we're having, like right now and like in generally in today's day and age about gender equality and all, why do you feel society is regressing in that respect? I mean, what do you think can be done? I think as a real sort of reform.
I'm I am speaking as Charukesh, as a person who I'm not an expert at these things or engaging this. But personally, I feel I think empathy is the most important quality that all of us should have. Even when you are, whether let's say somebody like Ammu in your life, the first point is to hear them out without judgment or without trying to give suggestions and all that, and letting them know that you're there for them, and for to create a safe space for them to speak their truth, and let them know that they are not alone. I think personally, I think empathy is the key to everything, and love is the key to everything, and it's important that we understand each other and we let each other be themselves, and I think that's the key, I think.
Right. What about you, Aishwarya?
I think we should, like he said, there are multiple films coming on the same subject matter, and what that triggers is more of discussion, more conversations around the subject, and that would help women come out and talk about what they are facing, if they're facing, and not just women, anybody, any person who is going through an abuse. Once that happens, once a safe space happens, when they can talk about it, then it is up to the caregivers in our society, the legal system, to actually address those things. And our job here is to actually bring the subject to people in a very, very relatable way, in a real way, so that maybe I'm not saying that every house or every person seeing this will want to have a conversation, because each one of us is different. But if one person has the courage to say something is not happening right in my relationship, as one woman who's undergoing abuse says, I think I want to, stop facing this. I want to prioritize my mental peace, my happiness, and move on. Then that is enough for us. That I think would be the intent of the film.
Right. Well said. Naveen, what about you?
As Ammu, and as there are many Ammus living in this world, stand, force, and don't delay. Don't delay. Just get someone, tell them, or get some help, or do something, but don't delay. Don't delay this issue.
Right. Yeah, no, very true. And I think that's what it is, isn't it? I think it's when it is about abuse, it obviously does come from a place where, one has to, like you said, Aishwarya, one has to feel secure. That environment has to be created. And I think like what you said as well, Charukesh, that whole sense of comfort needs to be there. That empathy needs to be there as well. And I think it's a very pertinent issue, and I'm really glad a film like Ammu is handling that. But I think that aside, and just focusing a bit more in terms of the industry generally, in terms of the films that we're seeing and the movements that's happening in Indian cinema now, I think it makes me very happy to see a sudden interest from mainstream audiences towards South content. I mean, not to cite the usual films, which I think have done really well at the box office, but so many movies are being, spoken about on a global level now. But now that obviously South, is reaching the masses and creating waves globally now, what do you think is the next challenge for the South Indian film industry? Ab aage kya? What's next now, do you think? What's our next step up? Charukesh, do you want to go first?
I think the goal should always be, as we keep going beyond borders. It's also important to keep going back to our roots. It is important that we show the world who we truly are, and whatever is true to the roots or your origin, those stories are always well received and they are extremely interesting. And it is important that we keep going back to our roots, because our culture is rich with stories, and all of our lives are extremely colorful, and there's so many stories that are waiting to be told. It's important, as we keep going global, we also need to keep going local.
Right. What about you, Naveen, actually? We'll give Aishwarya a bit of a time to think this time.
Like Charu says told, yes, we need to be rooted with our culture and our stories, and present ourselves, our stories to the outer world, the world, saying like that's what rooted stories and like our culture.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, I think we should give equal importance to both entertainment as well as bringing stories that can move our audiences, like Ammu, which has the strength, which has a power to start conversations. Um, as much love we should give the love that we are receiving as well. So maybe say real stories, come up with content, and not have the pressure that, oh, everyone's watching us.
Right. And Aishwarya, I think also I wanted to ask you, because again, like you've been a very fierce and a very strong force in terms of the roles that you've played. No matter how, no matter about the screen time, you've always played roles which are very significant and effective. I was watching an RRR and I love the film. I think it's amazing. But I also somehow feel that why can't we see female leads play that sort of a role? How far away do you think are we from actually seeing that happen, do you think?
I think with the right script, anything is possible. Like for RRR, I think it's everything. Every element of the film made it what it is. With the right script, I think for Ammu, I'll take Ammu for example. Um, if it was not for the script, if it was not for the strength of the thing, and also because it came in OTT, I think I got the chance to be Ammu. The marketing constraints were not placed. There was no shackles of having say a big star play this role. Correct. They could actually go in with an actor who was suitable for Ammu. So I guess, to answer your question, I think a right script at the right time with the right makers could bring in that change. So that could be any day.
Sure, and I think obviously because RR was based on was based on freedom fighters as well,
Yeah,
respected freedom
yeah.
fighters. I think hopefully one day we can see more such stories evolve as well. I think you as Aishwarya, you as a producer, I'm sure you must be definitely raring to sort of back such projects as well. So how is that going for you production wise so far? How is all that going?
I think I'm a very I would call myself a very accidental producer. Yeah. So I it's just I'm a very what is that word? Impulsive person. I'm a very impulsive person. Though I'm also co-producing a film called Kumari. The first one was Gargi. Thankfully, I think as a female producer, I'm very happy that I'm backing female content and very strong content. For Kumari, for example, it's very, very different from all the films that I've done till now. Yeah, so my intent as a producer, I think, firstly would be to actually learn the art of production, of art of actually making a good film, producing a good film, because I'm still learning. Since I said both the times it was because I was impulsive and I wanted to support the content that we were making. And thankfully, both the films have come out well. I'm very proud of the films that I'm associated with. And the next time I'm doing it, I want to do it as a choice, like I want to make this film. That's why I'm producing the film, not by chance. So yeah, I think that will be my next goal.
Wow. Well,
Pretty sure.
on that note, I think it's rather heartening to have all three of yous on Filme Shilmy. I think for the first ever Telugu original Amazon film, I think it's quite an honor. So thank you so much, Charukesh, Naveen, and
Yeah, no,
Aishwarya for joining me on Filme Shilmy, and wishing you all the very best
Thank
for
you.
the film and upcoming projects.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Thank you so
Anuj.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.